Good morning, Summiteers! What? No, it's afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon, Summiteers. Welcome back. How were your breakout sessions? Fantastic. I heard some good stuff, saw some good crowds. Well, here at the Innovative Dealer Summit, the plethora of learning continues. We have three mega presenters for you: Jessica Stafford, Richard J. Bryan, and Ruby Newell Legner. And then after that, we're going to have exhibitor bingo prize drawings. That will be followed by a fireworks display and the releasing of the Innovative Dealer Summit doves. So stay tuned for all of that. First up on our agenda, I am very excited about this presentation. We have Jessica Stafford. She leads the marketing team driving Cox Automotive's portfolio of powerhouse brands, including AutoTrader and KBB. Her 55-plus member team executes all marketing and advertising initiatives, drives creative strategy and design, and is ultimately responsible for delivering millions of in-market car shoppers to sellers' online inventory every single day. Recently named as one of Auto Remarketing's top 40 under 40, Jessica leads strategy and implementation of all online and offline marketing and advertising. Stafford joined AutoTrader in 2007 as the manager of digital marketing. She immediately began to strengthen the brand through multi-channel creative campaigns, using its high-profile sports and entertainment sponsorship. I'm sure you've seen the AutoTrader name on such things as NBA on TNT and NASCAR. Her efforts have helped make AutoTrader a household name. What an amazing project. In the last year, Jessica led the transformation of AutoTrader's brand positioning and corporate identity to ensure resonance with millennial Gen Z customers. A quick online search turned up the following. Here we see the standard headshot, and there we see Jessica. She's on the CBS show, The Talk. And as head of all media and marketing for this whole Cox initiative, apparently she was able to scrub the internet of every other image of her. So this was the only other picture I could find. And it appears to me that if this marketing thing doesn't work out, Jessica has an incredible future in toothpaste commercials. That is one killer smile. She told me in confidence, she said, I almost had a psychic boyfriend. But sadly, he broke up with me before we ever met. Please give a warm Innovative Dealer Summit welcome to Jessica Stafford.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, I guess I cleared the internet of any other picture. I think all you would really find are pictures of my kids. That's what everything covers. Well, I'm really excited to talk to you guys today. Like I said, I run marketing for AutoTrader, Kelley Blue Book, and Dealer.com. And one of the things that I think has been so exciting over the last few years or so is how the efforts that we can all make at the national and even global level from a marketing standpoint are now fully accessible and able to implement at the local level as well. And so a lot of the strategies and the ideas I'm going to talk to you about today are some of those really powerful data-enabled targeting abilities that might have been held out for the bigger national advertisers in the past, and now we can all do these at scale and at a local level. So I'm going to talk to you about some different targeting methods as well as cause-based marketing, but it really all stems from this place of intentional engagement. Today's consumer, we're all consumers as well, right? We operate in this fast-paced, constantly changing world. We have content being thrown at us all the time. And there's this blur these days between advertising, content, editorial, research. It all kind of collides in a space where we're getting hit with it all the time. And so it's very important that we as marketers, as advertisers, engage with consumers in a very intentional way, because they get to choose, right? They get to choose what they're going to dig into, where they're going to go to research, where they're going to go to buy a car. Not only is all of this happening fast-paced and all over the place, but it's all on multiple devices, right? We've been talking about multi-device for a few years now, of course, across tablets and phones and laptops and watches and wearables. But now we're getting to the point where we can not only know that people are doing their research in our world for cars across a bunch of different devices, but we can try to track them across those devices. We can try to hold their hand through their shopping process, through their different devices, through their different screens, throughout the day, throughout their shopping process. And it's key that we do this. And because we can hit them in so many different places and they're being targeted in so many places, it's more important than ever that our message breaks through. This idea of breakthrough creative, breakthrough messaging and marketing isn't new. We've been talking about this forever. In fact, it's kind of cliche, although it has more importance than ever before. There's more clutter. Again, like I said, because content has become advertising and advertising has become content, all the more reason that we need to break through and we need to resonate with consumers on an even deeper level. We need to think about how to personalize and customize our messages to them. So that brings us to this place of intuitive audience targeting. And I'm going to talk today about a couple different data tools and targeting abilities that are out there that we can all use, but pay attention to this choice of words, right? It's about intuitive audience targeting, figuring out who's the right person to talk to, what's the right time, in what place, with what message. And when we marry all those together, we truly make an impact. We make it a better experience for our car shoppers, and we make it a better experience for our sales. So today we're going to run through kind of how audience targeting has changed over time. We're going to talk about a few specific types of targeting, the importance of messaging, which kind of takes us into this idea of cause-based marketing and that ability to resonate and really relate to people on an even deeper level. And then I'll close out at the end with some strategies you could take back and start to put into play right now. Now, the good news for us is that people are starting to feel like there's a difference online. Studies are showing that consumers feel that their online experience with advertising has gotten better over time. And it makes sense. If you think about it, we as advertisers have more tools than ever before to give people an experience that they're looking for. They've got really high expectations. They expect you to know who they are. That idea of the creepy factor, I call it, even just 5-6 years ago when you were online and maybe you changed your Facebook status to married, or you got a new job, all of a sudden you get targeted with these ads. I remember, 12 years ago or so, I remember changing in the very beginning of Facebook and changing my status to engaged, and I started getting diet pill ads. And at that point, I'm like, God, they know so much, and that's kind of scary. But we're past the creepy factor. Consumers tell us they want it. It's more valuable when you know who they are, and therefore you can tailor the message to them. So they do say that online experiences have gotten better, and this is a great opportunity for us as advertisers to continue to customize that experience for them. So let's start in the beginning. We know we started advertising when all we had was really mass media. We know what mass media is, but it's this idea of getting in front of as many people as we can. Traditionally, we might think of that as TV advertising or some of our more traditional methods, although this can be done in digital marketing these days too. And it's not something that's just gone by the wayside. There's a place for all of these different pieces of marketing within our marketing mix. A time to focus on mass media. Maybe you're trying to grow awareness for a specific brand or a specific product that you have. Now from mass media, we move into placement targeting. Now what I mean by placement targeting is the idea that you pick a specific placement and you want to put your ad there. And again, this was kind of some of the first opportunities of targeting. You might not have even thought of it as targeting at the time, because this could be everything from a particular billboard off of a particular highway that you wanted to be in. It could be a placement on the morning news, specific programming that you wanted to associate with, or of course it could be online. So let's look at this example. Here we're on ESPN.com, still a mass national audience, but in this case, Allstate picked these two placements. They're taking over the homepage. It's still an idea of mass media, but they selected these particular placements, wanted to be in that area. This isn't audience targeting. This isn't a specific audience necessarily, but it is a specific placement. Now, if we move from placement targeting and we go into the world of demographic targeting, again, it's been around for a while, although there's been a lot of advancements on how we do demographic targeting. And when we talk about demographics, it's the basics. It's age, gender, income. In this example, you've got GQ.com digitally. So this is an infinity ad running on GQ. And in this case, there was demographic targeting at play. Now, Infinity could have used a data partner to say, where do I need to go, where do I need to be, where do I need to show up to get in front of a male, more affluent audience. But we also know that GQ attracts that type of audience. A lot of you probably hear from publishers and partners who come to you and say, here's our demographic, here's why you need to be in our, you need to advertise with us. Now, if we go past demographic targeting, we get into contextual targeting, and this is where it starts to get really interesting. We start to compile these components together and think of how do we, again, get intuitive about the audience we're trying to go after, get predictive, figure out who they are, where they are, so that we can get in front of them. Now, the idea of contextual targeting is putting a piece of advertising in a placement that is contextual to what your message is. So for us, it's automotive, right? This is in spaces like an Auto Trader or a Kelley Blue Book, of course, or any other area that somebody is researching cars, looking at automotive content. They are surrounded on a page by information that is contextually relevant to them. Therefore, they're in this place of kind of lean forward. They're interested, they're primed for our message because they're already in the world of researching and shopping for cars. Here's an example, of course, on kelleybluebook.com, and here's a Volvo ad right there on the homepage. It's contextual, right? Volvo obviously knows there's car shoppers on kbb.com. This is an area where I can engage with people who are already interested in the content that I have to offer. Now, we'll get to this in a little bit, but even better when you can create an experience that's personalized to that car shopper, personalized to that viewer. If we take it one step forward, we go beyond contextual into behavioral targeting. Behavioral targeting is what it sounds. It's the idea of following somebody, that creepy factor, right? Following them online, learning what they're doing, following their behaviors, and then targeting them as such. So here's an example. Let's go back to that kbb.com example. So we're on Kelley Blue Book. Here's a Volvo ad. Let's say that I click on the Volvo ad, I go over to Volvo.com, I start building a new car, I'm looking at SUVs. Maybe they targeted me in the first place with that SUV ad because they knew something about me, maybe even demographic or psychographic information. I have 2 small kids, I need more space. Now from there, behaviorally, online, within the same day or maybe the next day, I'm continuing my online behavior. So I was on KelleyBlueBook.com doing some research, I clicked over to Volvo, I go about my day, I'm on Gmail, I'm also looking at running shoes. Here's an email from Nordstrom, I'm in their CRM, right? I'm a customer of Nordstrom, I get targeted with this ad. And then I go about my day. I end up back on Facebook, and here's where the real behavioral targeting starts. And this is a real experience. So you can see an ad here for a Nike shoe from Nordstrom. They took the information that they knew about my behavior online. They said, I'm gonna go try to hook you one more time. I know you were interested in shoes, you didn't transact yet, but I'm gonna try to hook you back again. Now underneath there is a Volvo ad. They knew I was interested in Volvo. I was exposed to the ad, I engaged with the ad. Behaviorally, I'm primed for them, right? I'm showing that intention already. Now in the middle is an Acura ad. I didn't engage with Acura information yet, or content yet, but Acura watched my behaviors. They probably partnered with a third-party data partner, which we'll talk about a little later, and said, she looks like she's in the market, not only for a car, probably an SUV, let's target her with an MDX ad. So this is that idea of following behavior, making the ad placements that we put out there that much smarter because of the behaviors we know consumers are taking. Now, if you take all of that into account and think, how do we get predictive? How do we get intuitive and get ahead of the game on how we get in front of the right people? Now, that final step is kind of, I think where we're at right now. And again, at a national level and at a local level, it doesn't matter what your budget is these days, all of this is possible. We get to audience profiling and targeting. And this is where we kind of have the idea of taking all of this into account and being predictive about who we want to go after. So let's go out of automotive for an example. And it was interesting, a lot of the speakers I know yesterday and today have been talking a lot about attribution, pathing. How do we figure out what the right tools are and who gets credit for what? It made me think of this example because it's one of the classic examples of if you just think of you as a consumer, how you react to advertising, you realize why we as business owners have trouble figuring out who gets what credit for an action eventually taken. So in this case, a few months ago when the Google Pixel phone came out, You guys probably saw ads on TV, online. I did. So I saw an ad on TV. I was like, that's interesting. Let me check out some of those features further. I go on to Google, and I know ironically, but I Google the Google Pixel phone. So from there, I poke around. I get some information. I go to YouTube. I'm looking at advertising content as well as user-generated content, reviews, all kinds of editorial information. I'm continuing my online behavior, searching for more information on this Google Pixel phone. From there, I go over to CNET because I want to look at some expert reviews. I want to get some detailed kind of spec information, compare it to what I have. Right away, you can see at the bottom, I got targeted with a Google Pixel ad. And again, this is a real experience, it's a real sequence that happened. So right there already, I've been touched by probably over 10 pieces of advertising within 5 minutes. I saw a TV ad that piqued my interest. It gave me awareness of this new product. It piqued my interest enough for me to take action and go online. Google then, of course, was present in search engine marketing and search engine optimization. They captured me in. They took me to a few of their different properties. I looked at YouTube. And of course, some of that's natural behavior, but it's guided by the advertiser. So in this case, we hit all of those different kind of targeting pieces that I've talked about. I was retargeted because I had been engaging with this product, with this content. They came back and tried to kind of get me again. I'm in a contextual space in CNET, technology space. I'm in that kind of lean forward space where I'm interested in more information. I'm primed for the ad, I'm primed for the message. The next step would be to serve me an incentive, right? Some type of deal. Google phones aren't there yet. But this is an example of how it all starts to come together. And really, it's all enabled with data, which is another buzzword we've heard a lot these last few days, gosh, these last few years, of course, right? And so I wanted to walk through high level some of the kind of simple data tools and approaches that we have at our fingertips these days that enable this type of targeting and that get us to that place of being able to be intuitive about who we're going after. So the first is first-party data. We probably all know what this is. This is our data. This is your own data. This is what's coming through your CRM. It's coming through your web analytics tools. It's what you know about your prospects and your customers because you've engaged with them. We think about this as technical data, but of course it's real-time data too. It's what your salesperson learns by engaging with a customer. The speaker earlier talking about some of the concerns with how the service person did or didn't gather data on the phone when the mystery shopper called in, right? This information is very important and it's the purest because it's your data, you know it. Now it's also the smallest in scale because it's your data, it's only what you have. Now if we move to second-party data, and in a minute, of course, we'll talk about third-party. So I think we all usually hear a lot about first-party data and third-party data. Second-party data gets left out a lot of times because it's the hardest to get, but it's very valuable. So second-party data is basically someone else's first-party data. And when you're working with a close partner is when you have the best opportunity to utilize second-party data. So it could be something tangential. It could be for any of us working with an automotive insurance company or a lifestyle website that has some information and some data on customers that we're interested in or that's similar to us. Of course, the kind of closest is working with another automotive website, another automotive partner. So for example, in our world, on the Auto Trader and Kelley Blue Book side, we leverage our first-party data to enhance the products that we sell and service and create for our clients. And so it's kind of this opportunity to utilize second-party data, have access to a much larger scale of audience and of consumers, knowing what they're doing, who they are, digitally, of course, not personally identifiable, but who they are, what they're interested in, what their behaviors are telling you, and then using that to better entice, prospect new customers. So again, this idea of second-party data is it's somebody else's first-party data, and when you have a deep partnership or relationship with another partner is when this really comes into play. Now, the next is third-party data, also pretty common. So these are the bigger data providers that are offering at scale information and data on audiences that you can start to layer into your ad placements. And again, this can be huge, it could be national, it could be big budgets, it could be small, it could be local. The idea here is that this is great for getting at people you wouldn't have been able to communicate with otherwise, or you wouldn't have known who they are and where they are. Some of the downfalls are that your competitors have access to the same data, of course, so there's some competition there. It is a bigger scale, and so sometimes there's more waste in that scale. So you might get in front of people that aren't exactly what you wanted, but they're auto intenders, for example. So third-party data is another great tool. It also adds a little bit more of an expense. You start layering it onto your marketing plans and it just starts getting a little more expensive. So you need to really pay attention to how much you're paying for that data and what the kind of effective cost is on the back end. So let's go back to that behavioral targeting example that I was showing you earlier. We'll talk about the type of data that was used. So on the right side here, you've got the Nike ad. The Nordstrom ad for the Nike sneakers. That's first-party data all the way. I'm within Nordstrom CRM. I get emails from them all the time. They follow up if I put something in my shopping cart, but I don't convert. If the price drops on something that's in my shopping cart, they let me know, oh, there's a sale. And of course, they're following up on items that they think that behaviorally I might be interested in, but that's their data. That Volvo ad is second-party audience targeting. So in this case, partnering with Kelley Blue Book and kind of focusing on a plan that says, okay, we're going to serve Volvo ads on kelleybluebook.com. We're going to get in front of people. We're also going to use that data to then create a frequency of the message. I'm going to get in front of them in social media also, maybe programmatically, maybe across a display network to get in front of that person and continue the message. And then Acura, in this case, is likely third-party behavioral targeting. So they're buying data saying, oh, I know this person was looking at SUVs, that they've told me they're an auto intender. I'm going to layer in some extra data, try to get in front of a bigger audience, kind of cast my net a little bit wider. That third-party data and targeting is coming from tools like this. You know, Google has their own tools. Of course, we've got BlueKai. There's a ton of these. The idea is talk to your partners, talk to the publishers you're working with, see what tools they're using and why. Some data providers have exclusive partnerships with certain publishers, and that's why you're using them. It's good to find that out so you can dig in and say, is that the best data? Is that what I want? What's the cost? Again, how can I optimize to the best cost to get in front of the right people? So our perfect world, if we take this back to automotive, is this idea of layering it all together, right? Getting in an automotively contextual space where we know people are primed and interested in the information. It also gives you a chance to kind of gut check, yeah, they really are in the market for a car. They're not just kind of, we think they're an auto intender, they are, for sure. They're engaging in automotive content. You're taking first and or second party data and layering that in to help, again, make sure not only are you getting in front of that auto intender, you know a little bit about what they've been doing, which takes us to behavioral targeting. And I can make sure that I'm creating content and personalized information that's going to resonate best with that consumer. And this takes us to that place of intuitive audience targeting where we're taking all the tools we have to get in front of the right person and then, of course, give them the right message. So that timeline has kind of progressed, and what I would say is the idea is start at the far end. Start at the place where you're getting in front of the right people. That's going to be a smaller amount of people. So if you start there and you get it right, then you start broadening from there. And that's how you kind of fill out your marketing mix to make sure that you're getting after the right people, but you're focused on making sure you get the most quality first. And that idea of targeting, media targeting, get in front of the right person, that's half the battle. The other half is the message itself, right? And I mentioned words like customized and personalized. It's important to learn what we can about people so that we can give them a custom and personalized advertisement message. They expect it. So it's not just nice, they expect it. The more and more research we do says that this is what consumers expect. They want you to add value, and that's what's going to afford you the chance to engage with them. Of course, this example is a simple one on the Share a Coke campaign. And it's great that a lot of consumers like personalized ads. The opportunity for us is not a lot of them think that they're tailored correctly yet. So we can do work to make sure that they get the right message. They outperform everything, even rich media, which performs great with engagement rates. Personalized ads, when you get that right information in front of somebody, they really engage and they start to transact and do what you want them to do. Now, one type of personalized advertising, and just for an example to focus on in these last few minutes we have, is cause-based marketing. This chance to really be authentic. A lot of us are involved in our local communities and our local markets, so this is a chance to really utilize that, make a difference in both your community, your environment, but then also resonate and relate to consumers on a deeper level. It's all about authenticity. This is an AT&T example about not texting and driving. It's not only important to pop culture, but it's important to them and their business. The message makes sense coming from somebody like AT&T. And we live in this world where our products sometimes aren't as differentiated, right? Vehicles. And so what we find is that cause marketing can differentiate your products. Consumers are willing to transact, willing to work with somebody that they believe has a social cause similar to theirs, and that can be a differentiating aspect for them. It has to be more than just giving money. And this idea of cause marketing, I think, can get twisted there into, well, I'm donating. It goes well beyond that. You have to really live the cause and make a difference. Here's an example of a local dealer who's doing it really well, Maddox Chevrolet. They've implemented the overall Chevy cause marketing platform, but then they've also built their own around sustainability as well as energy saving. So to wrap it up quickly on how these all come together, that idea of getting in front of the right people at the right time with the right message, here are some things to think about. Number one, identify your target and don't be afraid to get specific. Create different targets for what you're trying to do. It's more than just prospects and current customers. Whether it's, demographically it's millennials or whatever it is, make sure that you're kind of picking apart exactly who you want to go after because you probably have a different strategy for each of them. Drive that strategy with partners using data and technology and be aware. Ask lots of questions. Know what data they're using. Know how much they're charging you for that data. Know how it integrates into your plan. That empowers you to be able to make the right choices to get after the right people. Once you've done that, set clear goals. And this has to be specific to your dealership, to your business. What goals are important? What do you think is going to make a difference? And obviously work with your partners on that, but make sure you have specific goals so you can measure and you can optimize along the way. And ultimately that allows you, those clear goals, allows you to hold your partner accountable. In the world we're in now, it's not just one or the other. You share a goal, you share accountability, and you go in together and work a marketing plan in order to get the success that you're looking for at your dealership. And then finally, test and test and test a lot. Find partners that will beta with you, that will test with you, publishers, because this is your chance. Pick a small segment, try something different. That's how we learn what's gonna work. When we take risks like that is how we figure out that new audience segment we had no idea was perfectly primed for our product. So this ideal future state takes us to that place where we were in the past around advertising in specific placements to get after an audience, to focusing on the audience first and then letting that kind of tell us where we should be. So with that, thank you very much.
Fantastic job. Give it up for Jessica Stafford. I remember when they launched the Chevy Traverse, and I was working with the store, and they did their first online newsletter. And the beauty of the online newsletter was you could tell how many times each person who'd been emailed the newsletter had read each article. And so we shared that with some of the salespeople. I'll never forget the sales guy calls and he says, "Hi, I've noticed you've read the article on the Chevy Traverse 3 times. Do you know we have," and the creepy factor, it was a wonder we didn't get a restraining order. And so I'm glad to hear that we're past the creepy factor, and that's kind of going away. The other thing that struck me was cause-based marketing. I have a teenage daughter, and every single item she ever buys is cause-based. If you have a teenage daughter, you're familiar with Ivory Ella, Serengeti, Loki bracelets, Bob's, Tom's. I mean, if it's my money, doesn't matter. If it's her money, it's cause-based. And so I think there's something to be said for what Jessica's talking about. That's absolutely amazing.